Imagine sitting in a meeting, everyone around you jotting down important notes. You glance down at your page, and everything you've written is vanishing. Line by line, word by word, your entire record of the meeting dissolves into nothing, like the paper itself is erasing your existence. That's exactly what happened to my coworker. The same guy who thought stealing from me was no big deal. What he didn't realize is that his little habit was about to backfire in the most humiliating way possible. If you've ever been underestimated, stolen from, or just plain disrespected at work, you're going to love this story. Stick with me, because it's a slow burn that leads to one of the most satisfying workplace revenge moments you'll ever hear. And hey, if you believe in karma giving people exactly what they deserve, hit that like button. Because this story, it proves that even the smallest theft can spark the biggest downfall. I worked at an office that looked ordinary on the surface. Neutral carpet, buzzing fluorescent lights, and cubicles that seemed to drain the soul out of everyone who sat inside them. But my little corner of that office, it was my sanctuary. I had my routine, a neat desk, a favorite mug, and a few nice pens. Not just regular pens. Smooth gel ink, perfect weight in the hand, the kind that makes writing feel effortless. Except those pens kept vanishing. At first I thought maybe I misplaced them. Maybe I was leaving them in the conference room, or maybe housekeeping accidentally tossed one. But then I started noticing something. A certain coworker. Let's call him Mark. Mark always seemed to have the exact same pens I did. Same brand, same model, same color. Even the little scratch mark I left on one from accidentally dropping it, I saw it sitting in his hand during a meeting. And Mark, he wasn't the kind of guy you could just confront. He had this smirk about him, like he thought he was the smartest person in the room, the kind of person who would make you feel crazy for accusing him, even when you had the evidence right there. It wasn't just the pens. Once I started paying attention, I realized that Mark was the type of person who took little pieces of everyone. He'd borrow staplers and never return them. He'd sneak snacks from the break room fridge that weren't his. He'd even lean over and copy ideas in brainstorming sessions, then later present them as his own. Little things. Petty things. But you know what? Those add up. And if you've ever worked in an office, you know how much those tiny acts of disrespect can eat away at you. It's not just about a pen. It's about someone treating your boundaries like they don't matter, treating you like you don't matter. Be honest. If your coworker kept stealing your stuff, would you call them out or keep quiet? Comment below, because I really debated what to do next. One morning, I set my desk the way I always did. 3 pens, right there, lined up next to my notepad. I went to grab coffee, came back, and one was gone, just like that. I glanced over at Mark's desk, and there he was, twirling my pen between his fingers like it was his personal toy. Something inside me clicked. I wasn't just annoyed anymore. I was done. That's when I started planning. I remembered hearing about disappearing ink pens. You know, novelty prank stuff. Write with them, and within minutes or hours, the words just fade until the paper is blank. I thought, what if I just left a few of those lying around? It was perfect. Subtle, no confrontation, no evidence that could tie back to me, just karma delivered in blue ink. So I bought a pack. They looked exactly like my regular pens. Same body, same color, same everything. I carefully placed them on my desk, just like always. But here's the thing about revenge. Timing is everything. I didn't just want Mark to grab one. I wanted him to grab one when it mattered most, when other people would see it. And I didn't have to wait long. That week, we had a big department meeting. Everyone gathered in the conference room, notepads ready, and right before we walked in, I noticed Mark swing by my desk. He grabbed one of the pens without even asking, like it was his God-given right. Inside, I was grinning. Outside, I kept my face completely blank. The meeting started. Everyone was scribbling notes, Mark included. He was writing furiously, like he was about to save the company single-handedly. Then, about 15 minutes in, I saw it. He looked down, stopped writing, stared, tilted the page, blinked. Line by line of his notes had already started fading. By the 20-minute mark, the page looked empty, like he hadn't written a single word. His face was priceless. First confusion, then panic, then that frantic look people get when they're trying to figure out if they're losing their minds. Meanwhile, the manager kept talking, everyone else writing normally. Mark, he started pressing harder, writing faster, as if sheer force would make the ink stay. But the more he wrote, the quicker it disappeared. Mini cliffhanger pause. Imagine being in his shoes. Would you freak out quietly or try to explain what was happening? What would you do? By the end of the meeting, Mark had nothing. A totally blank notebook page. When the manager asked him to recap some of the discussion points because he'd been writing so diligently, Mark froze. He looked down at his empty page, then up at everyone staring. And for the first time since I'd known him, he didn't have that smirk about him. He looked small, embarrassed, exposed. I sat there, keeping the straightest face I could manage. Inside, I was screaming with laughter. After that, Mark never touched my pens again. In fact, he avoided even looking at my desk. And wouldn't you know it, my supplies stopped disappearing. That one little prank didn't just protect my pens. It shifted the balance. Suddenly, Mark wasn't the guy who could steal things and get away with it. He was the guy who couldn't even trust his own notes. The guy who got humiliated in front of the whole department because he thought he was too clever. Karma didn't just strike. It bled through every disappearing line of ink on that page. What I learned? Revenge doesn't always have to be loud. Sometimes the best payback is subtle, silent. Watching someone's own arrogance unravel right in front of them. Because at the end of the day, people like Mark, they destroy themselves. All you have to do is hand them the pen. If this story gave you the same satisfaction it gave me, smash that like button and tell me in the comments, what's the pettiest revenge you've ever pulled off? I want to hear those stories. And hey, don't forget to subscribe. Join the thousands of people who love hearing karma strike right where it hurts.